Our guest on stage. I actually already introduced you. I thought you were in the crowd here. So Andrew Warner, the founder of Mixergy, he interviews entrepreneurs, talks to them about how they run their business, and he's going to be interviewing our special Fireside chat here with Ben. I've never actually met this.
You see the power?
There's over there.
Dwolla, so.
All right. No, they're coming in here. I see that they're coming in. Let's give them a moment to come in here.
Where's the beer?
It's coming. You got to hold it till the end to keep the crowd's attention. I promise certain things to certain people. Hey, while everyone's coming in here, was I a little too aggressive with the marketing? No. Does anyone think I was too aggressive? Does anyone think that all presenters need to market, that all entrepreneurs need to market themselves? Right. While we're waiting for everyone else to show up, how about I'll walk around. I just want to get the names and companies of a couple of people who are in here and what you want out of today here. Anyone want to say hello to me or tell me what you guys are in here for? No?
Yeah, good.
No. What's your company?
Net Design Studios, we're a web development company specializing in graphic design with design.
All right, what do you hope to get out of this presentation?
All week we've been looking for new ways to implement things about HTML5, new web technologies, and some graphic elements and kind of forward.
And how payment processing work?
Anyone is cool.
All right, hang on. Anyone else? Who here is as shameless a marketer as I am? Where's Dan? I heard him last time over here. Where is he? Dan is on. Dan is a good marketer as I am, and he's not. What are you here for?
Well, I'm always interested in technology that makes it easier to do commerce between people, and so anything along those lines is fascinating to me. I'm here at the conference just to learn what the hell's going on with the generation I've been so out of touch with for so long, and also to do some networking.
All right. Well, this is a good place to get in touch with that network. Hey, someone's actually calling my attention.
Okay, for all of you who have mothers and grandmothers and grandfathers, it's time to shake it up because the real money is in the 50+ set. You've heard it, now you can live it. Digiboom, come on now. We need apps for seniors. We will vet them. We will promote them. We will make your day for developers and other people with other big ideas.
All right, I like it. Big round of applause.
Yeah.
All right.
That was an awesome pitch, by the way. I would love your card.
Hey Ben, what does Dwolla do?
Dwolla's a payment network. Basically, you build a way to move money really fast, really cheap.
Okay, so if someone's sitting here in the audience, how would they interact with Dwolla?
Basically, you just sign into a website or to a mobile application and send money to someone else. It could be essentially anyone else. It could be through a social network, through a web application, pretty much to anyone you want.
All right. So I want to find out about Dwolla and how you're going to compete with, some of the big players who are already in the space. I want to find out how to launch the business. I'm also curious about, you started a company before that. You and I had a conversation about how you wore a groove in the sofa in your living room as you were building that business. What was that business?
It's called Elemental Designs. It was just a speaker company. So the way I got word out about that was, who's familiar with like old school VB boards? All right, that's awesome. Basically, for those who don't know, like old school VB boards are like Twitter before Twitter. It's like a conversation space. So I would just sit on them all day and answer speaker questions about speakers. And then people would click the links in my signature, and somehow that resulted in me building a business out of it.
All right. And well, let me put this aside. I took a picture that I think you and I need to build a little bit of a rapport before I bring it up to you. And I'll ask this question in a minute, but just to keep it out of reach, I'll put it here. I promise I'll come back to it. It has something to do with Dwolla. But first, let's find out about you before Dwolla. I understand that, like a lot of people here in the audience, you didn't get a job early on in life. What did you do?
My first way of earning money was mowing yards. I grew up in a house where my parents had money to buy stuff, but my dad's opinion was kind of like, well, if you have arms and legs, there's no way in hell I'm going to buy it for you. So he taught me how to sit on the lawnmower, go to my neighbor's house and bill them for it. was making probably 25 bucks an hour when I was like 13, 14, something yards. So once I started discovering, I think like normal jobs, they didn't really seem very attractive.
What about them wasn't attractive?
You had to bust your ass for like 7 bucks an hour. It just didn't seem attractive.
And so 25, it's kind of interesting that you still to this day remember how much money you were paid.
2 hours, 50 bucks a yard. That's how I build.
If you were today, if you were back then accepting credit cards, out of that 25 bucks, how much would the credit card processing company have taken from you?
Out of the 25 bucks, maybe 3 or 4 bucks over time, probably because of how small I was and so on and so forth. I'd have to pay quite a bit.
So $3, $4 you're saying?
Probably back then. Nowadays, I could probably do it for a lot less with things like Square.
How much would something like Square?
3%. So that breaks down. Ironically, I'm pretty bad at math.
If Dwolla existed back then, how much would you have had to pay?
25 cents a transaction.
25 cents. You get 25 bucks, you pay 25 cents, $24.75 in your pocket.
You got it.
All right. So then the next business was the speaker business. How do you get into the speaker business?
When I was like 16, I liked speakers that were really loud. Any guys ever do like the speaker thing, be the really obnoxious kid with big speakers? All right, well, I'm alone because I was obnoxious as hell. So I needed money to buy speakers, and honestly, I just got really into that, so I was spending all my money on speakers. I basically wanted to find a way to make more sound in a smaller box, and that was the whole crux of like the company is make speakers that make more sound in smaller boxes. So that's what we went and did.
How big did you get it?
When I sold the company, we were doing about $1.5 million a year.
$1.5 million a year. And the whole thing was taking place from that sofa I was talking about?
That sofa got us from like 0 to, first probably a few $100,000 in revenue, just like sitting on the couch answering speaker questions on forums. That's how the company got built.
Is that where you got your customers? So you were on forums. Forums are just message boards, right? That's where the action was before Twitter.
Right, exactly.
And you, me, and that guy over there are the only ones who still remember forums, apparently.
Basically, I think some people are lying.
I see a thumbs up right there. You guys know it.
Yeah, awesome.
You're on them. There you go. So, how do you sell on bulletin boards? You like spam them and say, "Hey, Viagra and speakers, click here."
I'm the one secretly also making money on Viagra stuff, right? No, what we did what I did really early on is I just found people with questions, and then I just went and just kind of answered their questions. So if I have this budget and I want this, what do I do? And I would just answer their question, even if I didn't sell the speaker. And eventually, because I was the reference point or kind of the resource that taught them what to buy, they just started asking me directly. And eventually the question was, "Oh, what do I have? You should buy that." And they were, it was an honest answer. So eventually the number of people coming in to ask questions just increased a lot.
I know you're here to talk about Dwolla, but I got to find out a little bit more about this business. How did you get your first customer? I don't mean the first 100 customers. I mean the very first person who bought from you.
When it was speakers?
Yeah.
I was starting selling speakers before Elemental Designs, and basically what that was is, basically I wanted speakers for my car I couldn't afford. So I found a guy, he said, if I designed him a website and I built a website, he would just give me X speakers. Well, he
got
didn't
paid speakers for building a website.
I tried, but the son of a bitch didn't give me the speakers. So what I said, I wouldn't tell my dad basically at the time, who would make his life hell. He let me buy stuff at cost. So I built another website and I started selling basically his stuff on my website and drop shipping it to customers out of his shop.
Okay.
So I kind of made some money doing that in high school. And
so drop shipping means you didn't have to buy it first, you didn't have to have the cash to get the speakers. You just said, look, as soon as I have a sale, I'll bring you the sale and some cash, and you ship it out for me.
Right, exactly. You'd be buying stuff through my website, but I didn't actually have it. You'd get it from someone else, and I just take a margin.
And you sold it on your website, not eBay first?
No, I sold everything on just a website.
A website. How'd you get people to come to your website?
Forums.
So that's when you went into forums and you started having conversations?
Yeah, no one knew I was a 16-year-old kid, so it's just a screen name that's helpful, and it worked out.
Why do you want to do, I always ask this of entrepreneurs, why do you want to put yourself out there and risk somebody calling you a spammer on a message board, risk rejection by a guy who you're saying, I'll build your website, pay me in speakers? What for? Why bother?
Well, even if it doesn't work, it's still funner than working at Walmart.
What part's fun about it?
What part's fun? The risk is, in of itself, is kind of interesting, right? It's just like trial and error. you know, it's its own version of invention. It's just kind of, it's fun to create and fun to try something new. And when it works, man, you just ride that thing until you're sick of it. And when it doesn't, you just try something new. Like, there's never going to be, I mean, you're always going to have new ideas. So you're never going to run out of things to try.
So at 16, you launched it.
Yep.
You said at your height you did 1.5 million?
Yeah, that was, well, maybe I should back up. That was just kind of another company that led me into basically branding my own speaker set when I was like 18. And that was the company that I went and grew.
So first you sold other people's speakers, drop shipped, then you built your own speakers.
Right.
And at 20, you did 1.5 million?
Well, it took me, like, that company, that other company was 18, so I was like 23, 24, probably when we were doing 1.5. We broke $1 million after like 4 years, but.
Is it appropriate for me to ask you, what was it like after you earned that first million in sales? We're not talking about pocketing the cash, but you do see $1 million on your, what were you using, QuickBooks?
We drank.
What
Oh
was
boy, we drank.
You drank?
Like, we drank. We just drank. For us, it was like, holy shit, can you believe this? Because, you know, we thought that's kind of what happiness was. Like, 6, like, zeros, right? Like, on a computer that somehow is like yours, you're responsible for. So I remember we went and got really cheap beer. It's like, actually it wasn't cheap for us, it was like $5, it was we're gonna splurge, right? And then all of a sudden it was like, all right, let's go home, and then we went back and did the same thing. So it, you know, it lasted like, I don't know, maybe a night or two.
And that was it?
Yeah, I mean, like, it just wasn't, it was cool, but then it was what's next, right? It was a measuring stick of, okay, where are we gonna go from here?
You said that doesn't make you happy. I've seen a bunch of smiles when you talked about just drinking and celebrating $1 million.
What would you guys do? I mean, like, I worked on that thing for like four plus years, and I mean, really, how many of you guys would just be like, I'm gonna pop in a movie and watch a band, go have a beer?
So what was it?
We didn't have it back then, right?
People, no,
Actually, I can
Smiley
make
face.
this one. Yeah.
No, so if that doesn't make you happy, why not?
Like, why the money doesn't make me happy?
Yeah, why doesn't just looking at that for a little bit make you go, you know what, life is good. I'm now in a safe place. I don't have to worry about the things that other people worry about.
Well, I think as you earn more money, you just worry about different things. And I mean, I learned that the money didn't make me happy. I thought maybe it would, and it was really interesting, and it would empower me to do other cool things. But I guess I'm the type of guy that I just want to like get more money so I can go build more shit. And like that's what drives me to go get more money is just building more cool stuff.
Okay.
That's just kind of what I learned through the whole experience.
And we'll get to this in a moment, but after you sold the company, you had to go find yourself, you said?
I actually did that while I was still running the company. That was kind of the thing that helped me decide that I wanted to exit. The company was kind of running itself. How many of you guys have ever been to Des Moines, Iowa? Okay.
Really?
That's awesome, by the way. Now you think they're lying.
No, I'm surprised so many people have been to. Well, I'm sorry. Hi, what were you doing in Des Moines, Iowa? You seem really proud of that.
Well, for the first time I was flying through to get out of Des Moines, Iowa.
I see.
It's so brutal.
The next time I was visiting a friend who lived like an hour farther than nowhere in Iowa.
I see. You know what? that's the reaction I was expecting. I asked you if you would announce something here today so that Tech Cocktail can broadcast it out to the world and I could look like the man from dragging it out of you. You said, hell no, I'm going to wait till Iowa and I'm going to announce this thing in Iowa, bitch. You didn't call me bitch.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm probably saying that. I swear about that.
His eyes would call me bitch. But you're so proud of just like you and Ty, he's thinking the same thing. What is it about Iowa? I would think the first thing I do after I make $1 million is say, I'm getting out of here.
Like I traveled. We started doing a lot of manufacturing in Asia.
No, I'm sorry, but there is a passion for Iowa, all kidding aside. What is it about Iowa that you're so passionate about? That you're still living there and building your business in the community there?
My beach is a cornfield. Like, however fucked up I'm wired, like, I think about home, I want to be able to see the stars. Like, I like the dead quiet, that for me is really calming. If I had all the money in the world and I had nothing to do for the day, I'd go ride four-wheelers in the middle of Iowa on a farm. That's just my thing.
What is a Coke cost in Iowa?
What is it? What?
Coca-Cola. A soda. Not Coke. No, you know what? I gotta stick that in Mixergy interviews. I'm gonna say, what does Coke go for in our city? And they gotta then I'll make news. $1.50 for a can of Coke.
Maybe. I haven't bought pop in a long time, but.
The reason I'm saying it is because I was thinking that, you know, a lot of us are going to Argentina because it's fun, and also because it's cheaper. Olivia and I live there, and for literally less than the price of coffee and a little croissant at Starbucks in Argentina, you could get a steak with a nice drink. Am I lying? No. So I figure we're all going out of the country for it. I'm wondering if maybe Iowa is the next digital nomad place to be. Like you're saying, no, you're not saving money by living in Iowa and working there?
You know,
I know I'm not here in DC, right, guys?
you know, I think the cost of living is probably lower. No doubt about that, but I feel like it's I move somewhere else, so I just figure out a way to make more money. Like I've always been able to figure that out. And for me, I was just home. Like if I think like I'm done, I'm tired, I want to go home, I think about my loft in Iowa, and that's where I want to go.
That does seem like fun. All right, so you're gonna take the story from there. You went back to Iowa, and then from there you started traveling.
But yeah, we started doing a lot of manufacturing in Asia, so I started spending like about a third of the year in Asia, kind of trying to figure out what the hell to do with my life. To be honest, I was pretty depressed. Like I had a company that was making money, and the one thing I thought you were supposed to do when you started getting money was buy shit, and that's exactly what I did. I bought myself a nice 4-bedroom house, living by myself, got myself 3 cars, you know, just some shit. And then I had to like put gas in the cars, mow the yards, insure the properties, like go do all this other stuff that just made me miserable. And then I never even wanted to go there. Like I put a shower in my building when I bought the manufacturing building, and I just was sleeping at the building because home was boring. So like traveling just helped me kind of like figure that out.
Can you go deep a little bit with that and talk about the depression? I think we don't talk about the depressing part of being an entrepreneur. I know when I was even building Mixergy, there were times when I said, I was such a putz. I mean, it's like all these guys out there who are putting video on the internet, except unlike the guy who does high-pitched noise or the guy who filmed his kid after the dentist appointment, no one's watching my stuff. And, you know, you start to get on yourself. When you're depressed, tell me if I'm wrong, you start to doubt yourself. Talk about that if you will.
Building a company is actually a pretty lonely thing. I mean, not everyone gets your vision. At the beginning, everybody acts like you're fucking nuts for doing it in the first place. And especially like in Iowa, there's not a huge support group to like help you go do that, right? And I think in my case, once I finally stopped working, I realized that I totally distanced myself from like all my friends growing up. I couldn't intellectually or emotionally connect to them on any level. And all of a sudden I was just like sitting here with nothing to do, except go work more. And I think it was just for me, just thinking like I had to get more life and just kind of working through that.
What was it that you felt you were missing? I felt like after I sold Rad from Reed, I felt like the part I was missing was the social part. I didn't know how to have a conversation that didn't relate to business. I didn't know how to talk to girls, to be honest with you. And I was in like my 20s at that point. And I felt I need to go and just work on that part of my life. Be like Pete and say, this is Andrew, the part that I felt that I was missing. I'm a little embarrassed to even say in front of the audience, but it's important to do it.
Yeah, honestly, I just wanted to build shit.
And you feel like,
Once I stopped building stuff, like I just super like.
but you're going in Asia, they're building stuff for you. You've got people who are helping you build stuff. Why do you feel still at that point that you weren't building stuff?
I think it just wasn't different once I figured out speakers. It's like there's only 3 things you can change about a speaker, and then you can concentrate on cosmetics. And just how many iterations of the same shit can you go through before you're just going through the paces? And then I just got to a point where I was just going through the paces to make other stuff for the sake of, you know, tipping sales, X amount, and, you know, I understood the equations and everything else, and I just got really tired of it. I needed something really new and really stimulating. And for me, what that ended up being was payments. Like the second I started working on that problem, I've been totally obsessed with it ever since I started.
You're obsessed with payments.
I'm really obsessed with payments. I think that's probably fair to say.
All right. One of the problems of, I imagine that someone who figures out the Rubik's Cube doesn't play with it every minute of the day. You know how to play it, and you're ready to move on. But for a stranger who doesn't know how to do the Rubik's Cube even once, or you can get one size, you want to know, how do you do the whole thing? So for someone who hasn't yet built a successful company, here you build it and know all the levers already to a point where it's just second nature and boring to you. We're fascinated. What are some of the levers that you were able to adjust in order to build, in order to keep this company growing and getting bigger? What's so simple for you that would shock us and would help us?
Just make people happy.
That's not enough.
I really think that you can break. I think you can break it down to like, if people fucking hate you, they don't come back. If people like you, they come back. And sometimes they agree to exchange money for what you have, and that's beautiful, right? I mean, like, I think fundamentally, it's really not all that complicated. Like, create something that provides enough value for people that are willing to pay for it, but then just do it for a shitload of people and make people happy in the meantime.
But how do you get them to even find out that you exist?
Oh, just hustle, right? However possible. It's like, depends what you sell. Put on a sign, go out in the street if that's what you need to do. Get on a message board. Go do customer service for somebody else's company, and that's exactly what I did with the message board. Was I found the companies who did like really shitty customer service, who had more expensive products than me, and I just went and did their customer service publicly for them, and I supported their products. And I was totally honest and totally legit about the way I did it, but I supported really expensive products, and I gave people a better support structure than they had with the other company, and eventually they just started coming to me to ask me questions instead of them. So I mean, then I just find your niche, right? Find your way in.
Got it, I see. All right, and so you said that there was some frustration at Dwolla. Some frustration at Elemental Design, the speaker company, right? It had to do with money. What was the frustration?
I found out money to make me happy, and from there.
No, right, but you said there's a problem here that other entrepreneurs and businesses must be feeling. What was that?
You know, it was payments, absolutely. I mean, I think that the one thing that once I started figuring out how much interchange, does everybody know what interchange is in the room? Okay, I'm gonna assume, man, I assume some of you guys are lying again. You know, interchange is basically every time someone pays with a credit card, it's what a merchant has to pay in order to get paid through the credit card company. So if they spend $100 on a Visa card, the merchant on the other side probably gets like $96, $97. Well, the $3 worth of spread for me was like essentially the cost of a new BMW. And then once I made that association in my head, I didn't want to pay interchange fees anymore.
Can you say that again? $3, the 3%? Say that statement again.
Yeah, the 3% spread on interchange basically was the equivalent of what it would cost me to go buy like a new M3. And since I kind of wanted an M3 at the time, remember I was buying shit I didn't need, I just really internalized that. And I think that, honestly, that was a solution when I started realizing how big the problem was and how many people had to deal with it. And after I figured that out, I mean, I think that's something that any business who takes in money through credit cards can realize the value of.
I see. All right, let me show you a picture that I took earlier. Did I establish enough for
Yeah, I think so. Actually, follow me into the bathroom or something? What's coming?
Frank, am I allowed to do that next time? Where is that? Here. All right, here's the photo. Look at what I did. I can't project it. Can I? Look. This is the reception. Look at what this woman has. She has an iPad, right? A big smile. Look at what's on the upper right corner of her iPad. Do you guys know what it is? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't know what that is.
That's a Square. That's Square from from the competing payment processing company.
I was looking at is that Pokemon? I was looking at the stickers.
So I'm walking in here thinking, I'm about to interview the guy who founded Dwolla, who's helping make it easy for merchants to take payments. Frank invited him over here. Did you have to fly out here to DC?
Yeah.
Right, so you fly all the way out here, and the first thing you see is, bam, they're using your competition to take payment.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way we do it is we don't view them as competition. Actually. No, it's valid, right? I think that's a perception issue with Dwolla. Is Square's not competition. Like what Square is it's a portal to take in payment, and basically it takes in payment through networks, right? Those networks are Visa, Mastercard, Discover, and American Express. Dwolla's a network. It's not a place to take in other payment forms.
So you want to be standing up there in the world with Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Dwolla, Discover, and so on.
Right, we're building a Visa.
That's what it is.
You got it.
So it doesn't bother you that Frank and Jen are using Square to take credit cards?
No, I mean, I think that, there are probably ways you could probably lose less money when you get paid, right? Just saying. But at the end of the day, it's my feeling that Dwolla should be integrated with something like a Square. It should be a virtual card in their card case. It should be built into a funding source inside of a Starbucks mobile application, inside of PayPal, just the same. At the end of the day, we increase our margins and help them, so.
I see. And so then when you walk in, I want to understand like your personality. Some people outside, the guy is like running money, helping everyone save tons of cash, and he looks like he's from Occupy Wall Street. You said you got this report, so I'm using it.
No, it's okay. I get it. I normally have to go through additional security every time I come on, and so I got it. It's cool.
So what I want to understand about you is like, and I'm in a place personally where I don't know where I stand on this stuff. I used to say, I was in the greeting card business, and if anyone talked about a competing greeting card company, I would fucking burn inside. what the hell are you doing using Blue Mountain instead of Viacom? I've gone to a lot of therapy, a lot of skill meditation. So, but I'm not here prepared to like live and let live. I'm not, someone earlier said, oh, you're like Vader TV. It makes you go, bitch, calm down, I take the beats out, I start working. But I want to understand what kind of entrepreneur are you? Do you walk in there and you say, I can't believe they're using that, but Dwolla's not on Square? Do you get that angry? Do you get that fired?
Yeah, I just
You do?
I just do it by myself. Like I just work it out and we come out and have Zen or something. There's like 2 people I work with who, if they saw this, would be like, they've never seen it in the conference room. This is where I go to like let my shit out, like just deal with it and go
How do you
back.
do it? How do you? Lately, I've been journaling a little bit. I've been like doing the just calm down.
Yeah, I just get your Zen on and try not to yell. That's it. Like I just sit and stare normally and like talk myself through it. But you know, I think that at the end of the day, the biggest problem that we're trying to solve is basically credit cards need to be paid off somewhere. Transactions that go through Square need to come from somewhere. And the underlying layer to everything, does everybody know what ACH is? Okay, ACH is the system that connects all banks that basically all money moves through. There's more money moving through this thing than through credit cards everywhere in the world. So this whole system sucks. And you know, if somebody was in the Fed, or from the Fed is in the room right now, I think they probably would, yeah, we've been trying to fix it since the 70s, it's got some problems, whatever. And that's really what we're going out to do, is solve that problem. So I think that, you know, there's always issues of, well, like, they're getting love, why aren't we? But I think if we just tone it down and just recognize that if we concentrate on the larger problem as a whole, you know, eventually we're going to get in the middle of everything if we're as good at what we do as we think. And it's just an inevitability.
How do you ever feel doubt at night where you say, like tonight, if I were to say that, I feel, yeah, it's an inevitability, but there'd be a voice in my head that would also run around and say, what if I said it's an inevitability and we end up pivoting to something completely different? What if I said, I went out on a limb here and said it's an inevitability and I failed? Do you ever feel that?
No, I'm kind of a dumbass. Like, I'm all in. I'm all in every way, shape, and form. And if the company has to change, it's because the solution becomes more apparent. And then I still don't necessarily think I was wrong. I just see a better opportunity. And who knows? It might all blow up in my face. It might go really poorly. Our investors may hate me, and I might have to move out of Iowa. But you never know. You got to try.
So one of the things that I admire about you, then, is that you just have had success after success after success after success.
That's because we're not talking about the 27 other things that didn't work,
So
right?
tell me about one of those things. Like the most painful one
I bought a show car one time, put a bunch of money into it, thought I could flip it and make money. Didn't work. That was like in my head, I was like, oh, I could do a whole dealership doing this, and it was just a dumbass idea. I thought at one point I could build like a $100 million business on little black boxes that solve electrical problems inside of cars. Like, have you guys ever been in a cab or in a car where there's like a whine going through the speaker or something when you tap on the brakes or on the gas? Like little stupid quirky issues like that. We came up with these little electrical circuits that basically solved issues like that. And I thought I could build this great business off of. Prototyped it, spent a lot of money, and then I put it online and no one fucking wanted it. They're like, well, it's not worth it. I know it's like $5, but it's not worth it, no one cared. Those were probably 2 pretty good ones.
So out there, I said, I'm going to pitch my presentation here. That's what entrepreneurs do. They'll all get it. And I opened up my mouth and I was hoping something cool would come out. And I just laughed. Thank you guys for coming in here, but I sold it really crappily. And I had to just put the voice out of my head that said, dude, you fucked that up. So that I could come in here and just be here and not be like in here, you know? But when you had those failures, how did you put the voice out of your head that said, maybe I just don't have it. Steve Jobs didn't fail like this, or whoever you imagine in your head. And of course, we all fail. Everyone has, but when you have those thoughts in your head, you can't imagine that anyone else is in your shoes. You have to find a way to deal with it. How do you get past it?
That's a good question. I mean, I normally take it out on the product a little bit. So like, I go office space on the stuff that doesn't work. So those black boxes, and I fucking crushed them.
You broke them.
Yeah.
You stood up and you shattered them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nobody wanted them, right? Like, get rid of these things, get them out of my face. And I think ultimately it's kind of like, what choice do you have, right? Like, go get a real job or just go build some stuff. ultimately, if I end up on a street corner, I can't afford a mortgage, my car has been taken from me, my girlfriend can't give me a couch to sleep on, you know, then I gotta get a real job. But until then, it's like, I love my life. And like the pursuit of building something really big that comes out of your head, it's just like an exciting thing. And the opportunity to be able to do that, I just feel really fortunate to get to do that for a living.
Who do you envision? Like when you think, I want to do something great, who do you say, I want to do something great like? What kind of people do you want to stand up and be remembered with?
You know, I guess, like, just on a mental level, I resonate really well with, I think, a lot of people who started PayPal. Just because I think that from a fraud issue and some of the issues with regulation and perception, I think that they're one of the few groups of people that have kind of gone through what we're going through right now. But ultimately, I mean, it's kind of like, who do you idolize, right? The people I idolize, I'll admit, like, I don't ever think that I ever deserve to be mentioned with those men. I just hold them in a higher esteem. But it's just kind of like anybody else, people like Jobs, like, just fucking brilliant. Like, how did you do this? And I think that's a question we're going to be all asking ourselves for a really long time, and I'm not sure I know.
How do you compete with PayPal, by the way? PayPal is another system where I can pay my friends, I can get paid.
Yeah, we get a lot of customers because they're really pissed at PayPal.
Why?
Fees, right? So how many people have ever, like, got a free PayPal transaction? Are you fucking kidding me? Without fail, I can always ask that question, and I have never got a single person raising their hand ever in my life. Like, very surprised. Basically, most people don't, obviously. So let's say you just sold like a $1,000 thing on eBay. Well, you now have a pain point for what that cost you. So all of a sudden you type in PayPal alternative, or maybe somebody mentions us, or how to get paid without credit card fees. I mean, those are major pain points that people who sell actively, utilizing kind of electronic transactions, are really familiar with. So they find us as the solution to the problem. And eventually I see PayPal as a really strong potential partner because we increase their margins. So if somebody basically funds their PayPal account and pays through Dwolla, they get more money.
See. Let's suppose that Frank and Jen, can everyone give them please a big round of applause for putting this event on? Let's suppose that they paid me my rate. Olivia, what's my rate for speaking? $25,000. And they use PayPal. How much would they have to give? Don't smile, I'm trying to sell them on the next conference. Well, let's suppose the next conference, they were to pay me $25,000, my speaking fees to come here. How much would I have to, if they PayPal it, how much would I lose?
I don't know, somebody's got to do the math on that. I'm bad at math.
You really are bad at math.
Yeah, I can't do 3% of 25,000.
But it's 3%. What is it? $750 you can do in your head? Oh, right.
We all have different
1% is 250 times 3. All right. How much, if I had to, if they paid me with Dwolla, how much would they?
I think the rest of us are still like swinging from technology's tail a little bit.
25 cents.
Yeah, 25 cents transaction across the size. You got it.
See, and you don't feel like, boy, there's $25,000 passing hands here. I gotta get a bigger piece of that.
No, I mean, I should. I mean, money should be what it should be valuable. I mean, I think that fundamentally it makes no sense that as you exchange money, it becomes less valuable. That makes no fucking sense. It's totally insane.
What do you mean by that? As you exchange money, it becomes less valuable?
Right.
Oh, right, because if the $25,000 is in Frank and Jen's pocket, then it's worth $25,000. If it makes its way to my pocket, it's suddenly $25,000 minus $750, which is
right, even if
$24,250.
Minus tax.
Listen, I got an interview here to fold this out. So, do you make money on 25 cents per transaction?
Yeah.
You do? You make money per transaction?
Yeah.
When you met your girlfriend, did you use any sales tactics like...
No, you know that thing that said about like I had to figure out how to talk to women?
Yeah?
If you want to date me, you have to find what I do sexy.
Did you find money?
Apparently. Right? Like, it's kind of like, no, not really.
So it was, hey, what's her name?
Alyssa.
Hey, Alyssa, I'm the Dwolla guy, Luke the best. And that was it?
Thank God, no.
No. I still don't know.
No, I was really thankful. As somebody I actually went to high school with or reconnected with later in life, and she knew me way before I ever did anything, and she doesn't give a shit. She just doesn't care.
you know what, that's kind of what you want in a relationship, right? You want someone who doesn't care so much that you can't fail, but does admire what you're doing so much that you feel emboldened. Am I right?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
That's the way you feel.
Yeah, big time.
Do you ever feel that way, like even back in high school, this is what you were looking for in the girls you were dating?
No, I found a lot of the wrong ones first.
What were the wrong girls?
What's that?
What were the wrong girls? Wait, Frank and Jet, this is a tech event, am I okay to talk about tech? Audience, is it okay to ask that?
What are the wrong girls? Blonde and fucking angry.
What are they angry about?
Everything I did. Stop there.
Really?
Yeah, probably.
You seem like a pretty was it the speakers blaring too loudly?
No,
Do you get earphones?
No, I think we should stop there. It's blonde and angry.
Alright. I still like being blonde and angry. How are we doing on time, guys? How much more time do we have? 15 minutes? Does anyone else have a question? Like how much coke costs an ounce? No? Yeah.
What's the nightmare scenario?
With Dwolla?
What's the worst thing that could happen in the next 2 or 3 years?
I mean, like, the whole thing blows up, like, starts shooting random amounts of money out of, like, an ATM machine we're not connected to. like, it's because I typed in my PIN number wrong on my phone. Like, some arbitrary scenario we can't necessarily predict totally fucks up the company in a way that is almost so irreversible, there's no explanation for it, and we have no choice but to say, we are total assholes. We have to stop what we're doing because we're not competent enough to do this. That's the doomsday scenario for us. The thing we can't see, the thing we don't know, that every company has to deal with, right?
Let me ask you this. One of the reasons why I imagine that Frank and Jen don't have Dwolla at the cash register
It's awesome.
is that if I wanted to pay for a ticket, I'd have to have Dwolla. I'd have to have a Dwolla account, right?
Yeah, exactly.
How do you overcome that? The need for everyone to have an account before they can start paying with Dwolla, or if they want to pay me my rate $25,000 next time. I'm smiling because I say that's not. I'm not getting it right. I'm getting. Oh right, I gotta sell it. You guys are recording this? All right, other organizers need to hear it. I gotta pay $25. There, she's recording it. No, seriously. Both parties have to have it installed. If I say to a client, my fee is $1,000 for ads, you have to pay me, go use Dwolla. They have to create an account. So I'm not just saying pay me, I'm saying go use this and create an account there. How do you overcome that resistance?
You just gotta deal with it. I mean, there's no perfect answer. It's a really big problem. So,
But there's something you're doing to convince people to use it. How much money have you had go through your system?
a lot. You know, over the next 12 months, we do $500 million.
And which is serious money is passing through Dwolla. So you've convinced people to do this. How do you get past that resistance?
You concentrate on the pain points initially. I mean, signing up for Dwolla, how many people have actually gone through Dwolla's sign-up process? Like, it's not easy, it sucks, actually. It's not as good as it should be, and people still use it, right? So it means we have tons of feedback on how we make it better. And in an ideal world, you'd be able to hear about Dwolla, sign up, and instantly be able to transfer money. That's it. You should be able to do that. And it should happen as close to free as humanly possible, and within just you want to use the system. Would we crack that nut, Dwolla would be $1 billion company. And there's no doubt in my mind about that.
When you can make it that simple for people to sign up and start paying and receiving money.
Right, because the complicated issues about what you're trying to do within that scenario, just from a know your customer requirement to underwriting requirements to connection requirements and fraud and blah, 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 it's exceptionally complicated. And everything we do to get there is just another step along the way to make the process better. And in the meantime, thankfully, we have people finding the value and not paying those transaction fees, who kind of put up with the things that aren't great and keep giving us feedback on how to make it better.
What's one piece of feedback that you got from the user, customer, that you wouldn't have figured out on your own? You go, oh man, that's just taking us in a direction or giving us a thought we couldn't have ever figured out without them.
The things that people don't like actually they're pretty consistent, right? It's the sign-up process and the wait time. Those are two things people hate, and we kind of hear those on a daily basis, and they're problems that we just continue to work on.
How about another question? Yes. And can I recommend this? If you're at a conference like this and you're asking a question, say your name and your company name, and then ask the question so people can get to know you. I really want the audience to get to know each other, and especially the guys who have the guts. The guts, right? We keep talking about guts to take on the risk as an entrepreneur. It takes a little bit of guts to say, hey, I've got a question. All of you can judge me when I ask it, right? So if you're going to do it, let everyone know who you are. What's your name and company?
So my name is Jeb Ringo, and I'm working with DotStack. We're a DC-based tech startup.
DotStack. Oh, cool. All right.
My question is, why did you send me $1 today on Dwolla?
You showed up on spots, probably. So all the time when I go places, I see who's inside spots, and I'm just arbitrarily sending money sometimes.
What's a spot?
Basically,
I'm still here.
Dwolla basically, we have this interesting way of indexing merchants. So merchants in a physical or businesses, for example, that want to be shown inside of this kind of like proximity-based payment platform, we basically index them in the software we call spots, and basically we show where they are and allow you to walk up and basically pay them in person based on where their storefront or business is located at. You can opt out of it. So basically just download it, and where you are will show you everybody around you who accepts Dwolla. And we actually just released a product that allows people to opt in to basically see who's around them. So if all you guys had Dwolla, which I know you don't, and you were opted into this, I could open up my phone and it would show everybody in the room based on who I'm close to. So I could just click a button and pay them.
So you don't need to bump, you don't need to exchange email addresses, you don't need anything. You just say, there he is, I'm giving him money.
Right, it's just all about proximity and measuring what you're close to.
Have you paid with Dwolla yet using spots?
No.
It's a new feature.
But to be honest, that was my first transaction.
Oh, really?
Receiving $1.
Getting $1 from the founder. Oh, that's cool.
I'll frame it.
Sorry?
I'll frame it.
So is that something that you're going to talk
You just made me feel
Right
about
on.
being like the first time you used it, but
What?
it's all good.
But do you find that people talk about it afterwards? I mean, can you say your name again? I'm sorry.
Jeb Ringo.
Jeb?
Yeah.
So like Jeb now told a room full of people about it. Do you find that word spreads online? Hey, the founder of Dwolla just sent me $1.
You follow me on Twitter, I'll probably send you $1, just so you know. I do that all the time. Like if I can't see you, I get on Twitter and some people will follow me $1 randomly.
What's your Twitter name? They were all laughing, so they couldn't hear it. It's Andrew at Andrew Warner. You said. No, seriously. What is it? It's
BP Miln. Just
BP. Oh, no. Dude, you guys are good.
It's gonna go by 5,000 followers thing.
Sorry, I see 2 hands here. You're telling me to pick someone else instead? Go ahead. Yes. Oh, 3.
Hi, Brian Herr from Zipless. We're a startup based out of Sterling, Virginia. Based on this Spots stuff and Square came out with their Square card stuff, where do you see payments going in terms of physical medium? Is it NFC? Is it face-to-face? Is it just location-based proximity? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I was talking about this earlier today. I don't think anybody's really figured it out yet. NFC is really just a way to tie you to a location, a way to say, like, dude, I'm here, right? I say all the time, like, you can cough, you can raise your hand, there's different things that you can do to confirm it, but I think that proximity is something really important over time. And I've always felt that way with payments and with other things. And it's kind of like the one thing about your phone that never changes. Your phone knows where the fuck you are, all the time, right? So how can you leverage that to create better user experiences and better real world experiences for people? And for the first time, we have this thing that like allows us to virtually interact with physical things. And I think that could be really powerful. So I think proximity has a huge role in it. I'm not sure if that totally answers the question or not.
You know, and I'm really glad you asked that kind of question. One of my shortcomings as an interviewer is that I don't ask the big questions, where's the world going questions. I want to know where you were and your personality. But I think it's important to know a little bit more about payments and where it's going, because this is an area that's really changing, and it's going to change all of our lives. There's a guy in the audience, Steve Boyd, who I met out there. Steve, are you in here? Steve, do you have a question? You know the space well. Do you, first of all, introduce yourself, and then can you ask a question about, that would give us an understanding of the market as a whole,
Sure,
where
sure.
payments are going?
Yeah, well, first of all, I don't know the market that well, so I've already got myself over my head. But I actually do a lot of work in energy efficiency and clean tech and some clean web stuff. But I have a couple of friends who are doing some work in Silicon Valley around one of your competitors, Paygo. And so my general question was really, and I did also miss some of the talk here, so I apologize if this question is sort of already been covered. But could could you describe a little bit about where you see the overall picture as far as the different notions that each of the mobile payments folks are taking, the strategies they're taking, and to an earlier question that you had, this issue of, as you try to deploy the product, you know, how much of it is centered around trying to deploy the cash register? You know, Square is doing that, Paygo's looking at doing that, in order to drive, you know, uptake of your platform.
Yeah, I would assume it was Paygo.
Paygo, right.
I would assume that when you make a payment with that, you put your credit card number in or something like that.
Right.
Okay, so basically, I look at these like as mobile wallets, right? They're a platform for putting your cards into a virtual device, which has the same inherent costs as using a physical card, it's just different behavior, right? So I don't really view them as a competitor. I think that if they integrated Dwolla, they would probably make more money because they're charging the merchants who receive those payments a percentage, I would assume much like Square. So just imagine that if they're going to pay Visa 1.7 on every transaction, they pay Dwolla 25 cents. They make more money if they build in Dwolla, so they'd probably be a great partner for us. Excuse me, would it be possible for me to get some water? If anybody drank all of it. I think that by and large, that's what a shitload of people are building right now. And who's going to win in that space? I think Square's probably going to win in that space. I think PayPal's got a hell of a good shot, and they're building totally different environments, and they're working really heavily on like full consumer experiences.
Wow.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Jen, can you text Frank?
So I don't know if that necessarily answers your question, but I don't. Like, totally helps. But yeah, I don't necessarily view them as competitors. I think that the mobile wallet thing is really interesting, will be important. But again, Dwolla, we want to build a big, ubiquitous cash-based network. It's never really been done before. And in that sense, you know, there's not really a lot of competitors between us and Visa. And even then, I would argue that even Visa would find value in a cash-based payment network that allowed them to cut out the risk of their ACH returns.
Yes, actually, you're helping me figure out who to call. I like it. Yes, you in the second row, please.
Josh Bauer, work for Happy Point Machine, we're a Silicon Valley company. My question is, what do you see the future holds for Dwolla, and what kind of shortcomings do you think you'll have to overcome in the future?
Well, I mean, Dwolla's either going to work and be really, really, really big, or we're going to go broke, right? Like that's the reality. Like, it's going to be one of those two things. Dwolla's probably not going to be the type of company who's got somewhere in between. We need massive adoption to make us really relevant. And if we don't get that, we're irrelevant, in which case we'll probably sell what we build for less than what we would be happy with. And harbor a ton of resentment over how we didn't succeed, right? And in terms of shortcomings, like we have to solve issues like, how do you get people instant access to a network that doesn't exist when you have to follow rules and regulations to know who people are and deal with the fraud in between? And all that stuff's exceptionally difficult. And you know, how we make that easier and we make a really complicated thing simple, I think will be the ultimate measure of whether or not we're successful with this project or not.
Can you give us the vision of where you could be? Because this is really big, and one of the problems that I know that the guys in Iowa have and I have with your story is that it doesn't get covered enough. We all get really excited about the new Facebook app or the new iPhone toy, but what you're doing with Dwolla, it's a huge vision. Where could you be 10 years from now when I'm begging you for an interview and you think I'm too dangerous to ever talk to? But
no.
big vision, where is it?
I mean, if we had our way, Dwolla would be everywhere in the world. You can connect to Dwolla with web services, which means anything that's connected to the internet has the ability to move money. Now imagine if every device that was connected to the internet had access to an instant transaction, a way to instantly move money at virtually no cost. Like, how fucking impactful is that? That would change a considerable number of things. And if we're successful building that, it would be great to think we could pull that off in 10 years.
And how about the amount of money that you save for your business? I mean, I know that when you're buying ads online right now, it's so competitive that you barely break even on, not you specifically, but a lot of merchants barely break even. You're just kind of paying Google, then you're paying PayPal or Visa and MasterCard, and you're lucky if you keep anything. And I've actually talked to some merchants who do it just because buying from Google means that they could accrue miles. And they break even on their business, but they get a lot of miles. You're saving them extra money, which means that there's more for their bottom line, more to either spend on advertising or more to actually take home.
Right. I mean, I think that a lot of the mobile solutions internationally, they take a huge markup. 3% would be great in other countries, but it's even more than that. And a lot of them we're talking 15-30% of mobile devices. So how can you give that back to people who actually utilize that exchange to do things like eat? I mean, what would you care if a solution came into your life that gave you 30% more income? Right?
And I'm also figuring that 10 years from now, I could see myself going into a coffee shop, and just like I see the little sticker that says "Thank you for shopping here," and it's like American Express, Visa, MasterCard, I could see a Dwolla logo there. Am I thinking the right vision here?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stores, thankfully, that are currently doing that. And I think, over time, it would be great that you can walk into a store and just know that that's an accepted payment form, and how we pull that off, remains to be seen.
Yes.
I've got a serious question for Ben and two silly ones for you.
It's not about blonde, is it?
Nope. You're generating lots of what might be called data exhaust.
Yeah.
If you look at Mint.com, they keep track of people's expenses, and they're mining that data to come up with all sorts of interesting insights on where are the most popular restaurants in Arlington, and what do people who buy Toyotas like to buy. So my question is whether you have any thoughts on how to use that information, either anonymized and aggregated or more pinned to individuals. And for you, I want to know what your psychotherapy sessions, how much your psychotherapy sessions cost, and whether you take Dwolla and pay.
It's really going to hurt my feelings now if you say no. So what do I think about utilizing kind of the data exhaust, right? Its value in terms of marketing might be whatever it is, right? It's just interpretation and semantics, I think. But I think true value in that data is, when used correctly, is in fraud mitigation. And I do not think that it has anything to do with selling the data, selling people more shit they don't want. I think it's in ensuring that the people who are utilizing the system are actually the people who claim to be using the system. And I think that's where that kind of data exhaust can be utilized really heavily to ensure that we basically keep kind of the bad actors out and we keep our fees low as a result. Because I'm just
You have partners who would love to use that data at some point?
We have partners that would like to do a lot of things, but at the end of the day, would I do that? And I run the company, so the answer is no, we don't sell that.
Therapy actually is BS. I said it because it's a punchline earlier. I feel like meditation, quiet time, and cycling helps me way more, but I still need a little bit.
But you're a good therapist.
Oh, and I signed up for Dwolla when I first interviewed Ben. In fact, even before, people, who was it? I forget. There were a few people who introduced me to you who said, "You gotta get to know Ben and help me get an interview with you on Mixergy." One last question, then I'll ask. One last question from the audience, and then I'll ask a question. How about you all the way in the back there?
Hey, can you hear me?
Talk just a little bit louder, and I think we will.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, cool. It's kind of a selfish question, so sorry for stealing the last one. But so I'm a college student, and I was just wondering, I know like 20, 30 people that have startups, and they, are just talking about how they're going to make it big. And I was wondering if either one of you had, any basic criteria that you see as being, like, this is going to be a successful startup, or this has the most potential, and what you see and you say, okay, that's not going to work.
Yeah, the whole idea of I'm going to go make it big. It's interesting because you have to have just enough arrogance to think you can pull that off. But you also have to be humble enough to never buy your own hype. Because the second people write about you and you buy your own hype, you're totally screwed. And anyone, if I was ever looking at a project like be a part of, if I thought that person was going to get a big head, if it worked, I wouldn't want to work with them. So I think that's kind of how I pick people to work with. And I guess advice is just, if you've got an idea that you're totally obsessed with and you're really passionate about it, and it's a problem that you're losing sleep over, and you will lose sleep over, and you're excited about it, then, I mean, who the hell's to say that you should go dedicate your life to doing this thing that you find really exciting? I don't know what that is, but, I mean, to hell with it, just go do it. I mean, stop talking about it and go build it. I would tell people to shut up if they told me like 4 or 5 times about this idea and they didn't show me a prototype. Don't talk so much and build more.
You know, most people don't know what they really want out of their lives. It's not a put down, it's just you don't know what direction. If you have this vision, it's a freaking gift. If you say, I see a world with different payment, it's a gift. I had to, even for me, for Mixergy, if I had this vision and I don't do something about it, just to let go of a gift that's so freaking rare, you know? It's really hard to come up with an idea you feel passionate about. If you haven't, you've got to follow that passion.
I agree.
Will you be there for Drinks Later tonight, by the way? You will.
For sure.
All right, then I'll forget actually I'll ask both questions. First, what are 3 interests? I want people to really get to know you, because I've loved getting to know you over the years. I feel you're a friend beyond just an entrepreneur who I've admired and learned from over the years. I want people here in the audience to come over and have a couple of hooks for conversation with you beyond work. What are 3 things that you're into?
I love 4-wheelers, big time. So if you have a 4-wheeler, we can go like a ride tonight. I would be on board to go do that. I think food. Like I really like trying new food.
Like exotic meat food?
Just like different food. I don't know why. I always thought that was pretty cool.
Okay.
And like I really love ideas. I don't give a shit what it is. I don't care if you want to make speakers or jello pudding or beer. Like just talk to me about what you're working on and tell me what you need. Because I would never be where I am. And people have done so much for me and have made so many introductions for me that if people would have just said, what do you need? And then helped me get that, God knows where I'd be. And that's a favor that I think that it's my responsibility to return.
So you want to hear people come to you with their ideas right now?
Yeah, just tell me what you're working on and tell me what you need. I might not have it, but shit, maybe something will pop into my head and I'll remember and I'll make an introduction later. I don't know. You know, introductions are like oxygen when you're building stuff. And you know, if it wasn't for people doing that for me, I never would have got where I got.
I'm so glad, by the way, you guys are doing drinks. I feel a lot of times we just want the conversation, we want the knowledge, but the drinks that you guys do at Tech Cocktails help us get to know each other, and that is more valuable even than one idea. It really is. Why are you guys laughing? That's one of the most serious things I said today. All right. I should just give you the last word. One bit of advice for any entrepreneur in the audience who's building up a company, who's where you were when you were sitting on your couch trying to build that first business.
Just go build the thing. Stop talking about it and go build it. You don't know how to go. You don't know how to code. Go learn. Just go build.
Right on. How about a big round of applause?
Very entertaining. Thank you guys very much for doing that. Thank you all for coming. This is the last keynote today, and it's been an amazing journey. So hopefully you all took one thing away from one of the many sessions. But we're not done. We are going to do Tech Cocktails Mixer at DC Week. It starts at 7 p.m. It's at the Key Bridge Marriott, which was the first Marriott that ever existed. So it doesn't get more entrepreneurial than that. It's just right around the corner. So just head over there, 7 o'clock, cocktails, lots of conversations. We've got 18 startups there, and a bunch of other companies as well. Obviously, I'd like to thank Ford for DC sponsorship, as a sponsor. We couldn't do it without them. Hope you all had a great time, and thank you very much.